Hello, everyone.
Hello, Will.
Hey.
Hey, we are ready when you are ready.
All right, thank you. We will get started with Mike Trudeau.
Hey, Frank, how are you?
Good, Mike. How you doing?
Doing well, Coach. Hey, Frank, LeBron and AD are 1 and 2 in the playoffs and finishing at the rim. Obviously, that's something the defenses try to take away. What about their playing next to each other helps enable their ability to still get there, and how has that played out in the postseason so far?
Well, yeah, obviously, both of them draw enormous attention from the defense, draw double teams, draw help when they're attacking the basket, and that often frees up the other guys. But we have a lot of weapons, again, on the perimeter or at the rim with our vertical spacing that allows them the proper space to finish at the rim.
Hey, Frank. I was wondering what to you is there a hallmark of an Erik Spoelstra coach team, and what separates that from others?
Play hard, play together. They always play that way. They have great toughness, high care factor on the defensive end, and they always trust the pass. And it's just a physical, tough-minded brand of basketball with their culture with Coach Spo's teams.
All right, you guys can go ahead there.
All right, we'll start with Kyle Goon. Guys, before you ask a question, please wait for the mic. Thank you.
Kyle Goon, Orange County Register. Frank, everyone has had to adjust to this environment, but the importance of LeBron's leadership in that aspect, what's the biggest adjustment you've seen him make to being inside the bubble for so long, and how has that had a trickle-down effect on the rest of your players?
Well, it's important to get out of your room, right, in this environment, the bubble, and obviously when your captains, LeBron and Anthony, are going to be at every sort of team event that we have, a pool party or a barbecue or anything like that, or eating in the team meal room with his teammates. I think that is infectious to the group in terms of guys just wanting to be together and leaning on each other in this unique situation where we're away from our families and away from the real world, really. So I think that's probably the biggest thing.
Dave McMenamin.
Frank, when you see the news out of Tennessee today that the Titans had to shut things down because of COVID-19, does it remind you of the situation you guys are in down here and just the remarkable nature of the operations we put together to keep everybody healthy so far?
We feel very fortunate, and seeing that news, it definitely does make me appreciate what has been created here by Adam Silver and the NBA, because obviously all of our efforts could be grinding to a halt if we were outside of a bubble in a less safe environment. So credit to the NBA for putting this thing together. It's really remarkable how it's come together, and hopefully we're able to finish.
Dan.
Frank, you guys have been tested so many ways this year. You've had a front row seat to see kind of LeBron's leadership and how it's operated. what have been your impressions on the way he's kind of helped steer you guys through all sorts of different things?
He's the best leader I've ever been around. Simplest way to put it, in terms of players. And, we've obviously, like you said, we've dealt with a lot of heavy emotional types of adversity that we've gone through. And, he sets a great tone with his example, but is also a great leader from a communicative standpoint, talking to guys, talking to the group, about the right mindset to have through certain situations. Being the leading voice, when things occur where we're all not really sure how to deal with it or what to say. He's been a leading voice in those situations, and just an integral part of our success this year.
Chris Haynes?
Coach, I got two questions for you real quick. The first one, you mentioned a barbecue earlier. You guys have a barbecue. Where can I find that food at?
That's a great question. That's a Rob Pelinka question. He's the one that sets those up, and it ended up not even being a barbecue because it rained every time we tried to have the barbecue.
Okay, that makes sense.
So we had to have it inside.
Just curious. So the second one is, being there's not any home court advantage here. I was curious if you looked up the numbers on some of your guys and, with the fake crowd noise, have you seen a difference in how guys play when it was a so-called home game versus a so-called away game? Have you seen a difference there?
I have not, and I haven't studied home and away numbers, for obvious reasons, because it is really the same environment for every game. So I haven't noticed a big difference. You sit on the other side of the floor, the colors are different on the screens that are flashing. Your intros are there, but beyond that, once the game starts, there's very little difference between home and away.
Malika?
Frank, we just heard Jimmy come up and say that he doesn't like to be thought of as the underdogs, but statistically speaking, they very much are. You were also in that situation with the Blazers. Do you see a difference, even though it's the championships and you both made it here, in playing against a team that kind of has nothing to lose because they weren't supposed to be here?
I don't know. I really don't view them that way. To be honest, they're 12-3 in these playoffs, just like us, and they've beaten 3 teams. Milwaukee on pace for a 60-win season, and Boston and Indiana plus 50-win season. So they've beaten 3 great teams in these playoffs. So I really don't view them that way. I think they're a great basketball team that we're going to have to play great to beat.
All right, we'll send it back to you, Will.
All right, yeah, Frank, I will take 2 more. Melissa Rowland.
Hey, Frank, obviously there's, normally a much bigger wall up between players and coaches. I'm curious if being in this environment, you've gotten to know the players in a much different way than you typically normally would have.
Of course, we've spent a lot of time together, far more, dinners and, just being around each other, seeing each other around the campus than we would normally be in if we were at home. When practice is over, everybody goes home to their families, to their own lives. We've all been still together. So it's been a sort of a hidden benefit, a silver lining to my relationship with our group and our group's relationship with each other. And hopefully it bodes well for us in these finals.
All right, yeah, last one for me. Jose, please.
Yeah, Coach. Thank you. I wanted to ask you a little bit about Rondo and the matchups that he's going to be facing against Miami. Maybe Goran Dragic, very experienced player. Maybe Duncan Robinson at times, and Tyler Hero, of course. What do you expect from Rondo in the series? Thanks.
He's going to be Rondo. He really impacts the game on both sides of the ball, both with his ability to orchestrate the offense, put guys in positions to score and then deliver the ball. But also he just makes winning plays. Defensively, he's got great lateral speed and athleticism defensively. Obviously, he's been an all-defensive player throughout his career, and we'll do whatever's necessary to get the job done on that end of the floor as well.
All right, I think we're all set. Thanks so much, Frank.
Okay.
Will, we are ready when you are ready.
All right, thank you. Mike Trudell, please.
Hey, LeBron, just studying the Heat and what you've seen from them in this postseason, what's at the top of the list? What stands out the most to you about the way that they're playing basketball?
I would think two things. One, how hard they play. 48 minutes. No matter if they're up, no matter if they're down. They play extremely hard. And I think, two, it would be the way they move without the ball. They share the ball. Everyone is live on the floor. It's not one guy that you can disrespect or be off throughout the course of an offensive possession. And they do a hell of a job of moving without the ball, sharing the ball, cutting, passing. So those are two things that stand out.
LeBron, you've described that time in Miami like it was going to college for you. If you can think back to those 4 years, what were the most important lessons that you learned about yourself and about leadership in general?
I think as far as leadership, that grows no matter where you are every day. If you want to be a leader, if you strive to be a leader every day, and I think being around, Rouse and Spo, D Wade and UD, and just to name a few, being a part of that culture allowed me to grow, allowed me to see, what it takes to not only compete for a championship, but also to win a championship. So it definitely, put me in a position where I knew what it took. I saw what it took. But also, I fit that culture as well because of how hard I worked. So it was a perfect match for those 4 years.
Hey, LeBron, it's Bill Oram. Would it have any extra meaning to you to win a championship against Pat Riley and Erik Spoelstra, guys that have helped shape you and vice versa in those years together?
Absolutely not. It's no extra meaning to winning a championship, no matter who you're playing against. It's already hard enough to even reach the finals, to be in this position. So if you're able to become victorious out of the finals, it doesn't matter who it's against. I'm just happy that I'm here with the opportunity, to represent not only myself, but represent our fans, our fan base, our organization, my teammates, our coaching staff, our training staff, and so many others that represent this organization to the utmost respect.
Allison?
Dave McMenamin?
LeBron, 6 years after playing for Miami, how do you feel about Pat Riley?
That's such a broad question, Dave. I don't understand.
Leaves it open for interpretation. Like, when you hear the name Pat Riley, what do you think about? How do you describe your relationship?
When I hear the word Pat Riley, you think about probably one of the greatest minds that this game has ever had. He's won at every level. Seen a stat the other day that he's been part of a championship in 4 decades. This league is not the same without Rouse. So, he's a great guy, a great motivator, but someone that just knows what it takes to win. And he's shown that over the course of 40 years.
Algo?
LeBron, you talked about just sort of the difficulty of adapting to the bubble. How much have you sort of motivated yourself by reflecting that, your teammates are taking cues from you and trying to see, how you approach things and sort of approach kind of getting through this grind of 3 months here?
It's probably been the most challenging thing I've ever done as far as a professional, as far as committing to something and actually, making it through. But I knew what I was coming, what we were coming here for. Obviously, you didn't. I would be lying if I sat up here and knew that everything inside the bubble would what it would, the toll that it would take on your mind and your body and and everything else. Because it's been extremely tough. But I'm here for one reason and one reason only, and that's to compete for a championship. And that was my mindset. Once I entered the bubble, once I entered the quarantine process, the first 2 days, and then right from our first practice, my mindset was to, if I'm gonna be here, make the most of it, and see what you can do and lock in on what the main thing is. And the main thing was for us to finish the season and compete for a championship. So that's just been my mindset. You know, throughout these, I don't even know how many days it is. Whatever how many days it is, it feels like 5 years. So it really doesn't matter. But I've been as locked in as I've ever been in my career.
Dan?
I won't remind you how many days it is. Back in March, the season comes to an end. 2 players on your team test positive for this virus. Did you know, or when did you think getting to this point was even a possibility? And what was it like kind of mourning the fact that maybe it wouldn't happen?
Didn't know that this was a possibility until we actually got on the plane in LA to fly here to Orlando. You know, we had seen some of the teams arrive before us. We had got here July 9th. We had seen some of the teams arrive a couple of days before us. But until we landed here and got off the plane, got on the bus, and actually pulled up to the hotel, that's when it became a reality to me.
All right, Malika?
LeBron, from your vantage point, what do you think it is about Erik Spoelstra that allows him, no matter if it's coaching number 1 picks or kind of a collection of undrafted / lower drafted guys, that allows him to continue to bring groups back here to the finals, but also not necessarily always be in the conversation with that upper echelon of coaches?
Well, that's a question for you guys. And the players and the coaches know how great Spo is. And there's this narrative that Spo is not great, and the narrative that he doesn't get a lot of respect, which he should. He prepares his team every single night. If you just watch the Miami Heat, no matter who's out on the floor, they're going to play Heat culture. They're going to play hard. They're going to play together. That's what he's always been about. And it's been you guys that have changed the narrative or has never given Spo his respect because he had D Wade or he had myself, he had Bosh. But a lot of coaches have talent. A lot of coaches have had talent over the NBA over the course of this league. That's not one. You know, and it's unfortunate that he hasn't gotten his respect. And every time we talk about Spo, when I was there and talk about how great he prepared us, and we all talked about it's great playing for Spo and things of that nature, you guys always say, well, you know, you have LeBron, you have D Wade, you have Bosh. Any coach can do it. No. Any coach can do it. If any coach could do it, then there'd be a lot more champions in this league. There'd be a lot more successful coaches. So, Spo likes it. That's what fuels Spo is the disrespect that you guys give him, the basketball world. But I'm not gonna sit up here and act like I don't know what Spo is all about because he's damn good, if not great. Probably is great because it's preparation. He prepares like it's his last time ever coaching again every game. And I know that. That's why I feel good.
Jeff Logan?
LeBron, there is political financial data that is out there that shows that pro sports owners, including NBA owners, donate overwhelmingly to Republican causes. I know they've pledged a lot of money to help with racial and social justice issues, but do you feel that those political contributions undercut some of the efforts that players are making to gain progress on those topics?
Well, one, I'm not going to give my energy to that because it's not surprising. And my mom has always told me that you control what you control. And I can't control that. What I can control is what I'm doing on my side and trying to have people gather around me and gather around my initiatives and doing what we're doing to try to affect change, not only in our communities, but outside of our communities to the youth and let them understand how important their voices and their vote is to our society. And it's hard as hell because they just don't believe it. They don't believe that their vote or their message or their minds or their voices matter. But that's what my energy is on continuing to push the envelope in my community, continue to to let them know that they are the future. They are the reason why there will be change. But I can't give my energy to the other side because that would take away from my people. And I can't do that. But control what you can control. I can't control that. That is what it is, and it's not a surprise. But I got work to do on the other side. So that's what my mission is about.
Let's take the last few questions. Go, Chris.
Brian, you mentioned you're as determined as ever. Right now, as locked in as ever, as you've ever been in a while. Usually during this postseason run, you black out from social media. You don't do it. But obviously, you couldn't do it this year. You're in a bubble, away from family, important election coming up. How has that adjustment been for you during this time to have, access to social media? Could usually try to eliminate distractions, but you got it right there handy.
Yeah, I think in this particular case, everything about this year is different. Everything about 2020 is different. And to make the most of it, you have to be able to adjust. And I've adjusted in the sense of understanding that there's also a bigger opportunity coming up as well in November, while I'm still, keeping the main thing, and the focus on, leaving a legacy here and playing the game that I love to play and compete for a championship. But also letting my people know that I'm not jaded and I'm not too distracted where I cannot continue to give the resources, put the people in place to help them go to the places where they don't believe they can even go. So that's just sometimes you do things that even you personally don't even believe that you can do. But when you have a support system and you have a group around you that's just as motivated as you, you're able to tackle a few things at once.
Okay, I think we'll take the last two.
Yes, I will take the last two. Let's go with Brian.
Hey, LeBron, I kind of wanted to ask you that similar question. So just to switch back to basketball now, since you answered it, the last couple of times you were here, you were pretty outmanned by a team with 4 great players. As you come back now with the team you have around you, how do you feel going into this 10th finals now with do you feel like talent-wise, you don't have to worry about that problem this time?
I never had a problem with any team I went to the finals. I've always been confident that we had the ability to win. And if you're going to a final saying that you're undermanned or you feel like you don't have enough, then who are you? And it takes, the game is won in between the 4 lines, not won on paper. And at the end of the day, when I've lost in the finals, the better team won because they played well, they were more prepared, and they did what it needed to do to win those 4 games. When I've won, the same thing. So I'm not here to talk about the talent that I have, the team that we have. The game is won in between the 4 lines, 94 feet. And the team that is prepared, and the team that execute, the team that has, not careless, throughout 48 minutes will give themselves a chance to win each and every game. So I'm confident going into this finals as I've always been in my career.
All right, last question, Joe Varden.
Hey, man. It's been a long time, obviously, since you played for the Heat, and a lot has happened to you and to the league since then. But all these years later, is there something that you still take away from your days in Miami? And then the other one is, how are you different just from the last time that you were in the finals, which was 2 years ago?
I think every part of anybody's individual life, where they was able to grow, it never leaves you. And that's no different for me having my 4 years in Miami, being around, with that culture, growing. You guys don't realize, talk about it, but I went to Miami when I was 25 years old. I was 25, and I spent I was 25 to 29. So I was still growing. I was still a kid and still trying to figure out who I am as a person and as a man, growing while still trying to compete for a championship every single year. And I grew and they allowed me to grow and we pushed each other every single day. And like I said, I fit perfectly in that culture because I work just as hard as anybody else. I show up to work, and I don't leave until I feel like I was as great as I was. And do you always become successful out of that? Are you always going to win? No, it doesn't happen like that. But you're able to sleep a little bit better at night when you punched your clock. And how am I different today than 2 years ago when I entered the finals? A little bit more gray hair in my beard. Appreciate it.
All right, we will start with Will.
All right, thank you. Mike Trudell, please.
Hey, Rajon, just wondered what's stood out to you about the way that you've been able to lead the second unit and then also lead the play when LeBron's on the court with you in the playoffs compared to the regular season. What differences have you noticed and how that's been impacting the game and the team?
Me personally, I was trying to take care of the ball as a second unit leader on the floor, extension of coach out there, and give my guys shots where they need the ball and being efficient, on both ends of the floor.
Hey, Rajon, it's Bill Oram. It's been a decade for you since you've been in the finals, and I'm wondering what maybe you appreciate, about reaching this level with your team that maybe you didn't when you were a younger guy.
Well, when I was a lot younger, I had a lot of success. I won at 21 years old, and now being 34, it's a completely different experience and understanding that this doesn't come often or annually. So for me to be back here, over a decade later, it's very humbling experience, and I'm letting my young guys know, from all the rookies to the second, third year players at Cools, that this opportunity doesn't come often, and guys search for this moment their entire career, and we definitely have to seize the moment.
Allison?
David Benjamin.
Hey, Rajon, it seems like this stretch through the last 2 rounds of the playoffs has been your best individual stretch since coming to the Lakers, and obviously the team has echoed that. Why do you think it's coming now? Obviously you played 2 years with the team. What about this moment is allowing you to mesh so well with the team on the court?
Each series is different. Obviously the regular season and playoffs are two different type of games. Each level you have to raise your level of play. But for me, didn't know what to expect. Obviously coming back, having played ball in 7 months, 6-7 months, a couple of injuries when I did come back, so I didn't know what to expect as far as my output and what I would do as far as producing on the court. But I've had a lot of belief in my work and what my craft and what I put in the last couple of months. Coach Vogel, there's still a lot of confidence in me coming back. Obviously saying that I played a very important role in this team, along with Rob Pelinka as well. So those guys from up top believing in from day one, and just not want to let my teammates down. I want to let myself down. I'm a very competitive person, and feeling that I do have an impact on this team, helping this team win.
How good?
Rajon, this experience of living with your teammates, having these dinners, I guess every night, living on the same floor, how has that challenged you, and how has that sort of made this run so unique compared to other runs you've been on in the playoffs before?
It's very unique because, even more so now, you spend a lot more time with teammates than you do your family. Obviously, in the past, you do the same a little bit, but you get a perspective for going home as well. So being with guys every day, eating, breakfast, lunch, and dinner has been fun. Obviously, we had a break as well, a couple of months off due to COVID, but we got back in the bubble. Unfortunately, I kind of went home 3 days afterwards. So me coming back into the bubble made me more appreciate the time being with my teammates, understanding the camaraderie is big in this type of game that we play. So developed the chemistry early on. It's kind of became natural. Guys aren't forced to be around each other. We just kind of naturally gravitate toward each other. We have started a Madden football challenge group game, and everything we do is pretty much been together. Like I said, there's different age groups on where our team stands, but for the most part, we all have pretty much the same common goals. We're here for one reason, and then off the court, like I said, what better way to bond is over food and watching games.
All right, Gary.
Rajon, obviously Lakers' first appearance in the finals in 10 years. You played in that series. What are your reflections on that series? Did you kind of have bad memories when everybody was talking about the first time back in 10 years and you're thinking you were on the other side of that? What's your reflections from that 2010 series?
I think I blurred a lot of it out. It was ugly when we were up 3-2, and obviously we didn't get the job done. We were up in the fourth quarter. That stands out to me as well. But Kobe played well. He didn't have a great offensive scoring night, but he did a lot of intangibles. He had, I think, 18 rebounds. Paul Gasol played well. Bynum played well. Key role players hit big shots. Fisher, Ron Artest. So it was a collective team effort. But that's a long, long time ago, and I was looking forward to obviously changing the chapter, and we'll continue to go past this different chapter in my life and write a better story in it.
All right, Will, I think you have a couple more on your end.
Yes, I do have a couple more. Let's go with Tanya Ganguly.
Hey, Rajon. I was wondering what the challenge has been like over the last few months for you in keeping in touch with people back in Louisville, and kind of staying connected with everything that's been going on with the Breonna Taylor case.
Well, I don't want to say too much earlier. So many different speculations were coming out on different stories of what had happened. I speak closely every day. The lady used to run a foundation, Yvette Gentry. She's now the police chief. We talk, like I said, about life in general. How the climate is in Louisville. Not necessarily about her job and her role. It's just, the young men in our community. We've tried to do that the last 4 or 5 years through my foundation. It's giving back to the youth, giving them someone to hold them accountable, someone that shows them that they care, and just making a change with our youth. Obviously, we know how important it is this year as far as voting and getting the message out there to the people in my community that their vote does matter, and that how we can make a difference and make a change in my city. So, for me, it was tough to actually come to the bubble, knowing so much is going on where I'm from, and me feeling like I have one of the biggest impacts on my city. I take a lot of pride in trying to figure out how we can make change, or how I can make change, and understanding what I have to do as far as, you go from protesting, but after protesting, you have to get to the board. You have to get to the boardrooms and make change, and understanding who we need to vote for and who we can support as a community.
All right, we're going to take one more. Alan Sliwa.
Hey, Rajon, just get your thoughts on the matchup versus Miami. What are some of the challenges that you're expecting in this matchup against the Heat? And then also, how much is Game 1 just a feeling out process, and is that just based on your experience where so many adjustments come from there?
Well, adjustments are made right now. Obviously, going from a Denver Nuggets team who plays a little bit different than Miami, obviously, but I think each team that we played in this playoffs has prepared us to this point. And the Heat definitely composed a great challenge. The world coach played one of my favorite teammates, Jimmy Butler. Going against him would be fun. And a lot of respect for all those other guys. Bam, Hero, Dragic is playing at a high level, all-star level guard. So, it's going to be a great matchup. I'm looking forward to the changes and adjustments we need to make throughout each game, and going head-to-head with these guys for one common goal. So it should be a great one.
All right, thanks, Rajon. Last but not least, you are the last one. All right, we're going to start with Will.
All righty, thank you. Let's go Mike Trudell, Spectrum.
Hey, Anthony, Mike Trudell, back in LA. Wondering what, if anything, you've learned about yourself through this just crazy year. It's almost been a calendar year since you guys took off for China. Throughout everything, on the court, off the court, what's going through your mind as you now approach Game 1 of the finals?
Special. I mean, it's been a crazy year. For us to continue to, be a step closer to our dreams, to reach our goals, is special. I think our team has been through the most this year. And we just kept on pushing, kept on fighting. With everything that's been going on, I kind of think the hiatus was actually good for us to kind of just let us kind of regroup because we had such a crazy year. The Lakers had such a crazy year, and now we want to make sure that we finish this thing off right. Our team is a team that handled adversity this year. They've been resilient, and now, I mean, we feel like it's our job to finish the season off the way we wanted to start it, same way we wanted to start it, and we're 4 wins away from that. And it seemed like it all just come full circle.
Hey, Anthony, it's Tanya. When did the mood for you guys change from celebration to it's time to lock in and think about this next challenge? And how did you notice that happening, that change in mentality?
The next day, that night, we celebrated the Western Conference Finals championship, and then the next day we had an off day. Guys watched the game together, and the next day after that we were locked in. So we celebrated for that night, and then it was back to preparation for either team. At that moment, and then when Miami won, it was time to lock into Miami. Miami's a special team. They're a team who, a lot of people thought they shouldn't be here, but they're a team who fights. They're a team, who's tough, who make big-time plays, got big-time players on their team. Guys who are in their first year, second years, who playing huge for them right now with a lot of confidence. So it's not going to be easy for us, but this is a team who very much deserves to be here. And they shown why all season, all playoffs.
Hey, Anthony, it's Bill Oram. I'm wondering, what do you remember about the Heat with LeBron when you were first coming into the league and those teams? And the fact that LeBron's first time in the finals with the Lakers, it's that team on the other side and kind of that familiar cast of characters that he knows so well?
Yeah. I remember the Dallas, the first one in Miami. That's when I really kind of started locking into the finals. I've always watched it, but really started getting real goals and real dreams of being here one day from that 2011 team. And then just kind of been watching ever since. And he's a guy who obviously when he plays against his former teams, he wants to win very badly, just like anyone else would. To be back in the finals against Miami, I think means a lot more to him, winning this one than anyone else. And I think this championship is probably second behind Cleveland if we're able to get this one for him. So I think this one is going to be a tough one. You said it's going to be the toughest championship in NBA history from a mental standpoint, just because of the circumstances. But it's been fun to watch him go through these, finals every year. Win or lose, he always comes back next year, and then to finally get back after last year and go against his former team. I'm pretty sure he's going to have a hell of a series.
Allison?
Anthony, I know you want to approach this series in terms of the schemes and the team structure that your coaching staff wants to accomplish, but how much are you putting this series on your shoulders for the matchup with Bam Adebayo, and how you could influence the series based on that?
Yeah, Bam's a great player. Can pass. Reminds us a lot like Jokic. His ability to, he handles the ball a lot. He pushes on the break for him. He made great passes, score. He's like their energy guy as well. So it's gonna be fun. 2 Kentucky guys. Coach Cowden probably texted and called me enough about that, but it's gonna be a fun matchup. I know a lot of people are looking forward to that matchup. It's gonna put, I think,
whoever wins that matchup, their team probably have a better chance of winning the series. But he developed so much, since coming out of college, and even last year, he's able to do so much for that team, and that team leans on him a lot. He had, I think that was game 4, where he took that pressure and took the blame for not playing well, and the team ended up losing to come out game 5 and almost have a triple double. So he for a guy to be in the second year, wants that pressure, wants the big time moments, wants to make the big time plays for his team. It's gonna be a fun matchup.
You said back to Will? Sorry.
Yes.
All right. Let's go. Kyle Tucker, please.
Yeah, Anthony, I wondered if there was one specific thing you can point to from your time at Kentucky that you think, there's a bunch of young Kentucky guys, you mentioned Bam, and there are others, including yourself, that have thrived right away in the NBA. If there's something specific about that time at Kentucky that you felt like really got you ready for it.
Coach Kyle, he really runs his practices and that program like NBA program. Obviously, he coached in the league, so he knows what it takes to get there. And I think that's an advantage for all players who go to Kentucky. He's able to get you ready in 1-2 years, and most of the time how you be successful. So I think going there and having a coach who coached in the league and having a great assistant coach staff around him it's like no other. When I was out here, Ross was there as well. So, a guy who played in the league who's been very successful. He bringing the right guys. He's a great coach. And, like I said, he runs his program like an NBA program. And it makes it a lot easier for that transition.
All right. We're going to go 2 more from me. Melissa?
Hey, D. LeBron has talked about how deeply challenging the bubble has been for him. I'm curious for you specifically, what's been your greatest challenge here? And what's the biggest thing that you've learned about yourself in this situation?
The biggest challenge for me was not seeing my family, but they're here, so kind of good. But just from a basketball standpoint, just learning, the game, learning if you really love the game, learning if you really got what it takes, to compete at a high level and win. There's no distraction. All it is basketball. And for some guys, it was tough for them, to be here for a long time. You kind of figure out the ones who really love the game and just want to win and just want to play basketball. And a lot of guys on our team, love it here because we have no distractions. All we got to do is play basketball. You have no distractions. You don't have to worry about nothing else that's going on in the world, and just play. Then when you're outside of the bubble and you got a million different things coming at you, as far as appearances or you have to do this, you have to do that. We're here is let's play basketball. Let's see who wants it more. And it's like I said, it's a mental thing. And our guys are mentally tough to withstand this. And this is why we're here. About to play game 1 of the NBA Finals.
All right. Last one for me, Alan Sliwa.
Hey, D. Rondo was talking a little bit about how it's been 10 years since he's been in the NBA Finals. Obviously, Dwight Howard, it's been 11 years. Do you have conversations with these guys that it's been? Do they help, I guess, maybe remind someone like yourself that, obviously it's such a tough journey to get here? Those conversations, do you have those with some of the veterans?
Not individually, but we usually talk about it as a team when we're out eating dinner or something. Those guys always talk about how tough it is to get to the finals. I remember I asked Dwight, when the last time he went, like you said 11 years ago, Doe told me 10, but they said it's tough to do. And, when you have a group who can get there, you got to take advantage of those moments because, no telling when you able to get back. And it's been years for both of those guys. LeBron has definitely been fortunate enough to continuously go to the finals, but it's not like that for everybody. And I know that this one is especially for me because from hearing what those guys saying, you don't want to have a 10-year gap, 11-year gap of getting to the finals. So anytime you're there, you want to take advantage of that opportunity and maximize the opportunity by winning the championship.
Thank you, AD.
Last question.
Okay, sorry. Thank you. AD, especially since you got into the bubble, what have you learned about LeBron's sort of preparation routines, post-game stuff, how he takes care of his body, and are there parts of that you've tried to emulate for yourself?
He's very detailed. Like his attention to detail is off the charts. To every series, every game, he's locked in as soon as he steps into the arena. Take care of his body. He sleeps more than anybody I know. So those things, like to the things he do now, he have all his recovery stuff shipped in, things like that. But it's why he's been so dominant for 17 years. It doesn't seem like he's aging backwards, and it's because he takes care of his body. He's always on me about things. If he sees something, like he'll try it this way, or I can be up all night. You need to go to sleep. Sometimes I just can't sleep. So he's promoting himself, trying my sleep app, the Calm app, and so he's always trying to give me little hints of how to be better, be a better player, and help my body. And I think this year, besides like that major fall I took against the Knicks, I think it's at least my time I've been off the floor from an injury. So just being around him and having him help me take care of my body and some of the things he do, I'm able to stay on the floor and play the game that I love and compete.
Thanks so much, AD.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Mark.
Thank you.
Mark.